And hello, everyone. This is Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. And this is another segment of the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel comic conversation that we have. Yet again, we were gone for a little bit due to a bunch of different things. We actually taped some segments a couple weeks ago that, for technical reasons, I won't bore you with. I wasn't able to get posted. So it's not like we weren't doing them. It's just, technical crap got in the way. But we're back, and
you should maybe tell them that you might actually just put it as a podcast.
Right, I might just put it right now. I'm thinking because we had some really good conversations about the Robert Kirkman video, about things that were going on, when it was timely. And
my review of Wanted was on.
And your review of Wanted also, too, which was a follow-up of mine. I'll post it as a podcast on the Comics Waiting Room website under the Comic Culture Warrior page. And just so you know, you can always come to and read my columns at comicswaitingroom.com. I also write for the Chicago Red Eye and the Geek to Me feature. So go to redeyechicago.com/geek to me. You can see some of my thingies. And sooner or later we'll get Jose writing something or doing something. This is where we showcase you.
Yeah. I'm not ready to branch out.
Not ready to branch out. Oh, okay, well that's fine. But in any case, so
little meat goes a long way.
That's true.
That's what I hear.
So anyway, we had a couple things go on. Still more things have been happening, and I guess what I wanted to talk about a little bit right off the bat was the controversy surrounding Will Smith. There was a rumor going around that Will Smith was going to be offered the role of Captain America in the new Marvel movie, and I posted about it on my Red Eye blog. And they also talked about it on Ain't It Cool News. I don't know, did you catch that on Ain't It Cool News?
I don't go to their website.
You don't know? Well, I like to check out Ain't It Cool from time to time because they have a lot of they get a lot of the information. Well, not like they used to, but still they get a lot of cool information. There's a lot of stuff in there that interests me, and then I try to follow up on it and go in a different direction with it. But I guess what happened was a different actor, not Will Smith, and I forget what the actor's name was, said something to the effect that Will Smith was offered the role of Captain America, and I guess the guy was speaking out of his ass, right? But that's really how rumors get started, and MTV Splash Page actually posted the rumor, saying that it was a rumor. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the rumor got debunked. And, I mean, really, to me, the discussion isn't whether wasn't, Will Smith getting the role, not getting the role, whether that rumor should have been out there. What kind of bothered me was a lot of the backlash that was coming from the idea of Will Smith being cast as Captain America. Now, you had a couple fanboys out there.
Because he's a Scientologist, right?
Because he's a Scientologist. That was the only reason,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
You had some fanboys who were saying, no, it can't be Steve Rogers. He probably had to be like Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
One of the other folks who was before
Steve
Rogers. But the idea of Steve Rogers being cast, I'm not just going to come out and say it, cast as a black man, just did not set well with a lot of folks, and that kind of bothered me, especially when you consider that we are just a few months away from possibly electing our first black president. The idea that Captain America has to be a white man for it to work for many of the purists out there, that rankled me. I mean, I understand maybe like for continuity's sake or whatever, but a lot of the folks, what you read on Ain't It Cool News or what you were reading on different websites, they were just saying Will Smith can't do it, and they weren't giving really a good reason as to why. Otherwise, because they couldn't just come out and say because Will Smith's black.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, where were these people when Michael Clark Duncan was cast as the Kingpin?
Yeah.
You know, when I heard that Michael Clark Duncan was to be the Kingpin, like, I didn't have a problem. Like, you know what? That's cool, because, you know, first we got hit with Ben Affleck as Daredevil, which really sucked. and at this point, like, to actually get a actor who would fit the persona and look of the character, I was, like, fine with that. And even Will Smith as Steve Rogers, it doesn't really bother me.
Right.
Like, if that happened, all right, so what? So that happens. Big deal.
Yeah, I don't know if Will Smith could get skinny enough, though, to be Steve Rogers before the super soldier formula, because, I mean, he's like a skinny little waif, and then, you know.
I think it's CGI that.
CGI that. Yeah, but again, well, I guess what really, it brings me back to this undercurrent. I mean, and I hate to say this, but there is an undercurrent of sexism and racism in comic books, in comic book fandom, because
it's not. But the fandom is a microcosm of this country as a whole. And why do you think Barack Obama is not posting the percentage when it comes to Barack Obama or John McCain? People are going to vote for them on the polls. Why is Barack Obama only up maybe 1% or 2%?
Right.
It's night and day with those two guys. And
no pun intended.
No. I was going to say that, but I probably should say that for the fact that, you know.
Yeah.
But just the differences of their politics and where they're going to take the country. And that's why I think he's only posting a 1 or 2 point lead over John McCain, because a lot of people have a problem that he's African American. And that's
truly African American. I mean, his father was from Kenya.
Exactly.
And you know.
And the whole Steve Rogers thing, the whole comic thing, those are the same people who aren't going to elect Barack Obama or aren't going to vote for Barack Obama, are those same exact people. So it's just a small section, a cross section of this country is what, you know, the fandom is as a whole. And just compared to everything else, you're always going to get people like that no matter where you go, no matter what you're talking about, whether it's comics, whether it's music, no matter what you're talking about, politics. There's always going to be just the ignorant masses.
Yeah, you know, you're right, and that's true. I mean, that's people in general. But see, to me, I've always, and this is going to sound corny, but I've always thought that if you're a comic book reader, you're part of a minority. I mean, there's a whole culture behind those people who read comics. You know,
less than 1% of this country.
Less than 1% reads comics, and on top of that, folks who read comics, we tend to get looked down upon. We tend to get ridiculed. We tend to have a lot of scorn heaped on us. So we should be able to say we're not going to turn around and do that to another person or another minority. You know, comic book readers, in my opinion, really should be some of the most open-minded, most tolerant people out there who are open to new ideas, because, you know, that's basically what comic books are about. It's about sharing ideas and stories and characters. I mean, what are the X-Men about? The X-Men are about tolerance, you know? Mutants are really a metaphor for minorities, for people who are excluded, for homosexuals.
And now, especially with the new story arc, that's kind of what they're playing off, because they moved to California. So now it is kind of like the whole homosexual angle and how it's not...
all the subcultures, not just homosexuality, but all the different subcultures that coexist really in California, for the most part. Really, well, at least in Northern California, you get the sort of Southern California, and it gets kind of crazy.
Right.
But again, comic book readers, really, it's incumbent upon us to be really more tolerant, if anything, and not let this ignorance that permeates, a lot of other folks. We should be better than that. So when the ugly side of us gets brought out in the idea of Will Smith playing Captain America, that really, I hang my head in shame. I really do. I hang my head in shame. When all these fanboys were complaining that Buffy was going to win the Red Eye Superhero Tournament a couple months back, again, arguing simply on the fact that it was a girl. I mean, that's what you saw. They would say, oh, she's not a superhero. Oh, she's just for the MTV generation, or blah, 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 blah. No, it was all very thinly veiled excuses to cover their sexism. And that really, really disappoints me, because I think in the comics community, that sort of stuff really shouldn't exist.
No, I totally agree.
Wow.